Well, happy Monday! I decided to pull a surprise unboxing because it's the first machine that I've gotten from the great state of Montana, way out west. So let's get on this because I have a customer arriving that's dropping off a 201-2 at about 11 o'clock today, Central Time. So I've got a real short window to get this unboxing done and then to move into the next phase of my day. Busy, busy. Haha, I love it. Yeah, that's pretty good shot, I think. And if any of you know the state of Montana, I've driven through the state of Montana. It's one of the longest states that I've ever traveled through. When you first enter the state, you keep driving and driving and driving and driving and driving, and you think you're eventually going to get to the other side, but I guess I did, because here I am. But it sure felt like I would never get there. So if anyone wants to Google for fun, the city that this machine came out of in Montana called Miles City, Montana. As a matter of fact, you know what? If I'm not mistaken, the iconic movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, one of the gold ticket finders. Matter of fact, I think it's Mike TV in the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory with Gene Wilder. He's from Miles City, Montana, if I remember correctly. So what an interesting correlation. Our first machine coming out of the great state of Montana, and it's out of the city that Mike TV from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory came out of. And his slick dad that was always trying to sell used cars. Yeah, you gotta watch out for those. All right, let's get some unboxing music here. Unboxing music. And if you kind of look at this right away, you can see that Cathy Green, who's the one that sent this from Miles City, Montana, has followed, at least it looks like, our packing method that I presented through this channel. It's got that great exterior tote as an outside shell, as a barrier to protect the machine on the inside. Now, the one thing I will tell you about this machine that we're about to unbox is it's had a similar life story to Debbie Brown's from Lafayette, Indiana. I just recently premiered Debbie Brown's PFAFF 130-6 that fell about 4 feet to the kitchen floor and sustained a lot of damage, and just had a chance to present that fabulous machine, totally renewed, totally reborn, and ready to rock and roll. Well, we're going to have another situation similar to that, because this machine also took a fall, and Cathy Green was literally in tears when she reached out to me over the phone to see if I could help. So let's see what we have. Yeah, it's never a good result when you put gravity against a vintage sewing machine, because vintage sewing machines are so heavy and they generally don't fare well. And this tote looks like it's gotten beat up pretty good, and it's probably been used within Cathy Green's family for other things. So I'll probably end up just keeping this in the workshop, and when this machine gets sent back to her, I'll go ahead and use a brand new tote, because totes can get fractures and cracks in them just like sewing machines. And if you try shipping it all the way out to Miles City, Montana again, it might not survive the journey. And I don't know what the distance is. If anyone wants to, Google the distance between Oconto, Wisconsin and Miles City, Montana. That would be super cool. So we know how far did this machine travel to get here, and how far is it going to travel when it heads back to Montana after I'm done with my workshop magic on it. I wonder if I forgot to turn on the chat for this live stream. I hope I didn't forget to turn the chat on, because I see that it's totally blank on the right side of the screen. So if someone's trying to join the chat and you can't do it, that might be my fault. So if that's the case, I apologize. That would have been the first time I forgot to turn the chat on. So sorry about that. Or it could just be my screen. Let's see. Or it could be a YouTube glitch too. Well, if you're trying to join the chat and you can't do it, it could be a YouTube glitch. It looks totally different on my screen. Well, we'll just keep plugging ahead. Yeah, this tote has gotten a pretty good beating. You can see here it's been patched at least once where it's cracked. So I won't be using this tote to ship it back. So if anybody wants a nice, slightly used tote, let me know. You can come to the workshop and pick it up. Original roots from Montana. Who has a Montana tote? No, probably nobody. Yeah. Oops. Looks like I'm going to have to get my peanut collector. This is kind of what we're seeing as we're looking into this tote from Montana. Got some extra bubble wrap on top. Here we can see our cocoon machine right here. And then a bed of peanuts all the way around it. So somebody did an excellent job, presumably Cathy Green, in packing this Montana machine to make its journey to Wisconsin. And my music genre, if you don't recognize it, my music genre that I picked today has kind of a jazzy feeling to it. You'll hear a lot of jazz. You might hear some classical. You might even hear some country pop in. I just felt like a mix of music, and I hope you enjoy it. Turn it up a little bit for us. You tell it's a Monday. I'm having some major coordination issues here. That may have fallen in there by mistake. It looks like a partially used paper towel of some sort. I don't think that was part of the packing plan. Look at the static electricity. That's the only thing I really don't enjoy much about winter in Wisconsin. Is winter in Wisconsin, you're constantly battling the static electricity factor. And when I'm working with some of the newer machines that might be referred by Joanne's from Marinette, Wisconsin, I've got to be real mindful of static with those computer boards in some of those machines. And if you've never heard that I work on newer machines, I certainly do. I've shown some of that on Facebook and even on YouTube as well. I think all sewing machines, whether they're new or whether they're vintage or antique, they deserve an opportunity for greatness. And again, the difference, if you ever look at listings on Etsy and eBay and on Facebook Marketplace, you'll see people all the time listing sewing machines as antique, when in fact, oftentimes they're not. Sometimes they're barely vintage, but to that individual, they consider that machine to be old. And old immediately for some of them translates to antique. So to be antique, a machine has to be 100 years old or older. So just keep that in mind as you're traveling around in your vintage circles. If you see a vintage person referring to a sewing machine as antique and it's not 100 years old or older, then you know that they probably need some education. So what year would that be? I'm curious. Let's see here. My phone is operating like it's Monday too. It's operating very slow. So this is 2022, right? That's easy enough to figure out, isn't it? So that machine would have to be from 1922 or older to be an antique sewing machine, which would make it 100 years old or older. Yeah, I think that's right. Should be. All right. Let's see if we get this machine out of here. We're at a point, I think, where we can. Trying to get some of the peanuts to drop off. I'll just show you inside of the box. All in all, a very good packing job. Cathy, I know I told her when we were on the phone about watching the packing videos on the Cow Country YouTube channel, and I think she clearly did. Not only did she cocoon the machine, but she added an extra layer of bubble wrap to the bottom along with the packing peanuts too. So hopefully the damaged machine that suffered a fall that belongs to Cathy Green wasn't damaged further in transit. I doubt it based on what I'm seeing. It looks like it was packed pretty well. So on my screen, just so everybody knows, on my screen right now, I can't see any chat in the column. So if on your side, maybe it's my computer, on your side, if you're seeing chat and you guys are chatting, I can't see it. So some sort of a YouTube glitch on Monday, maybe, because it's totally blank. I can show you what's on my screen right now. See, this is normally where the chat would be, and it says top chat, and then there's nothing. So I don't know what's going on. Don't know what's going on with this. Well, that's weird. I just clicked something. I just clicked pop out chat, and all of a sudden something showed up. Maybe it's just my computer. So I'm not ignoring you guys. If you're able to see something on your side with chat, I can't see a thing. Right now it's totally gone. I don't know what's going on. So if you guys are chatting, chat away. If there's no chat on your end either, then it must be a YouTube glitch this morning. So, all right, we'll just keep moving forward with it. But I love seeing the chat comments that people write. So it's kind of a bummer that the chat seems to be offline this morning because there's nothing over there. And now it's totally blank. Goodness gravy. Oh well. All right, let's continue unboxing this machine, and I won't worry about the chat because I can't worry about what I have no control over right now. Just real quick, I'm curious. I'll pull it up on my phone and see if the chat is visible there. Maybe. I have no idea. Oh goodness, look at, I can see the chat on my phone, but it doesn't show up on my laptop. So the chat is working on your end, thank goodness, but I can't see it on my laptop like I usually do. I'll have to see maybe if it's a glitch setting. But let me see who I need to say good morning to now, because I can see it on the phone. Yeah, I can say good morning to Renee, and Rebecca and Dr. T. And good morning to Greg Griffin. Good morning to Emma, if I didn't already say that. Yeah, good morning to all of you. So why it shows up here on my phone, but it doesn't show up on my laptop? Son of a gun. All right, well, I'll keep my phone open, so hopefully I can glance periodically at my phone and maybe have an opportunity to respond to some stuff that pops up. Otherwise, one of y'all can just text me. I'll just kind of lean it against there. There we go. So again, this machine is from Miles City, Montana. The same city, I believe, that Mike TV, the character in the classic movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, was from. So I know nothing about the city other than what I saw in Willy Wonka. And I didn't look at the chat in detail to see if someone typed in something interesting about Miles City, Montana, or maybe the distance from Miles City, Montana to Oconto, Wisconsin. I'd be curious about that as well. I got to turn down my volume on my phone because I'm hearing myself echoing back. It's like making a call from Europe back to the States. I remember doing that for the first time in Germany, and it was so irritating because as I'm talking, then my voice resonates back, and I have to wait for it to stop and then try to listen to the response of the other person. All right, I better watch my time because my customer bringing the 201-2 is arriving in a little bit more than an hour. So I think we'll be done well in advance of that. But this machine, according to the owner, took a pretty good crash, took a pretty big crash to the ground, similar to Debbie Brown's PFAFF 130-6. So I don't know what we're going to find inside. Hopefully not a bunch of pharmacy pill bottles with machine parts, but you know what? It makes sense when Debbie Brown's dad did that because it's an easy way to contain parts, isn't it? Well, I hope everybody had a nice weekend wherever you're at. The weather's been beautiful in Wisconsin. Beautiful. We're finally in the mode of spring, almost summer, with getting into the 80s on a couple of days. So I started to say that I'm sure that Cathy Green from Miles City, Montana, watched the packing video because all in all, she's done a really, really good job. The only thing I would recommend, again, we're always looking to do things better, right? We're not as good today as we will be tomorrow, and we're not as good. You know, we're always trying to improve things. I better not try to get too philosophical on a Monday or I won't do well at it. But the only thing I'd recommend is a little bit more stretch wrap over these layers of bubble wrap on the machine. What it does is it tucks that bubble wrap in then, and it creates a nice shell, and it immobilizes that machine from being able to move, We don't want the machine to be able to shift or move or any extra agitation as it's being shipped, because that'll potentially result in damage. So just a little bit more stretch wrap, and then again packing tape over that to anchor it all down. Just going to look at the chat real quick to see if I need to. Oh, good morning to Joelle as well. Good morning to our friend Joelle. So I think I'm caught up. I think I said good morning to everybody. Now that I can actually see the chat on my phone. Well, we are down to the point already where you'll be able to see the machine in just a few seconds. And if anybody recognizes this machine model right away, if you can't see it through the stretch wrap and through this area right here, it is a Singer. And you'll be able to see the decaling on it pretty quick. Type in the chat what make and model it is if you're able to, and then I'll see if I can read the serial number, and someone can look up the serial number, tell us the birth date, production group size of this machine that came from Miles City, Montana. I always thought of Montana as kind of a dry, almost like a desert type environment. But apparently, wherever this machine was or spent time, there's a fair amount of moisture, because I can see that there's a lot of rust on this machine. We'll get closer to it so you can see that as well, but quite a bit of rust. And I don't know, maybe I know Montana gets snow, so I guess they do have moisture and everything, but I've always thought it more as kind of a flatland type, desert type setting, but I haven't driven through it in a long time, so I might be totally flawed in my recollection of that state. Oh yeah. Oh boy. I can see where this machine took its major impact. It's on the right rear side of the machine. And you guys might remember our friend from Texas, retired school teacher, retired government employee. He had shipped a PFAFF 130-6 to the workshop, and part of the bed had been snapped off, and I did a repair on it for him and then sent it back to him in Texas, only later to prepare another 130-6 for his sister after she saw his machine. But this one must have fallen with that back right side hitting it. I hope the piece is there. Otherwise, this will be a very, very tricky restoration. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. Okay, it looks like inside of this little bag on the inside of the harp area, it says that piece that was snapped off is inside of here. I hope that's right. I hope that's right. Let me look at the chat real quick. Oh yeah, welcome to Vernon too. Welcome, Vernon. And Vernon apparently knows about Montana because he goes, it's a real big state, especially when you're driving across it, going from west to east, which is what I was doing. I was coming out of California, driving across Montana, heading towards Wisconsin, and it seemed like the state would never, ever end. But Vernon knows something about Montana, and maybe he'll decide to share some more. But it is a real green state from what he's saying. I remember it being more desert, but maybe I'm thinking about the Dakotas because I remember I went through the Dakotas at one point too. Isn't it great to have people in our classroom that have knowledge that they can share? Because some of us, I haven't been through Montana in a million years, and some of you may have never gone through Montana before. All right, so let me get the camera closer and show you what we're working with here. So here you can see we've got obviously have a Singer sewing machine, right? And if you're able to look real close at the decal pattern, which you get this coloring on the decal pattern when someone has tried to go aggressively in cleaning the surface up, and they go all the way through the clear coating, and then they hit that decal and they still think it's dirty or it's soiled in some way. So they keep scrubbing on it, scrubbing on it, scrubbing on it. And what happens then is they take off the coloring of the decal and they get down to the silver tones that are underneath the coloring on the decal pattern. So what we're seeing here is the result of good intentions with a bad outcome. So if you have a vintage machine and you want to clean it up, that's great. But just be aware that you've got to choose the right cleaning solutions. You've got to use the right cleaning materials. A microfiber cloth is probably the best choice. And the best solution to use on a sewing machine, wait for it, believe it or not, is a combination of sewing machine oil and kerosene. Sewing machine oil and kerosene will slowly take those layers of varnishing off the machine without damaging the clear coat if you take it nice and slow. If you try to use something more aggressive, like a general cleaner, you're going to cut through that junk real quick, but then you're going to be all the way into the clear coat and you're going to end up damaging the decals like the individual that tried to clean this machine. Let me get closer, you can see what I mean. Oh, hey, Dr. Singer. Right there, you can just catch a glimpse of the red eye, can't you? You can just you barely catch a glimpse of the red eye. There's just a little bit of red left right here. Other than that, everything has been just stripped away through a very aggressive cleaning effort on this machine. Just stripped away. But that's okay because I'm going to talk with a customer and we're going to look at doing a brand new restore, brand new paint, brand new decals on this machine. So if someone's willing to help us look up the serial number, let me point the camera down that way. There we go. We got a real clear shot of it, actually. If someone wants to look it up, it starts with a G series 402-1216. And we know that the G series is a very early series of this particular machine. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Many of you already know what it is based on the decal pattern, based on the body style of the machine. But whoever looks it up can tell us the birth date, confirm the model, and then tell us how many were made in this production series. But the G series is a very early series within the Singer family of machines. Quite early. Yeah. Oh, hey, welcome to Terry as well. Welcome to Terry. And I've got to make a confession to you guys. I did not, since I just unboxed this, I have not looked up this serial number yet. And Terry is already on it. And she said, boom, here it is. This is the birthday. So if I know Emma is here. If someone would be willing to verify the results that Terry came up with, not to second guess her, but just to verify that we've got the right birth date, etc., that would be fabulous. And it looks like we already have agreement. We've got agreement between Terry and Emma. They're telling us that this machine, let me back up since you've seen the serial number already. This machine we're looking at right now from Miles City, Montana, which from the front doesn't look horrible, does it? I mean, obviously very, very degraded decals, kind of chippy paint. But wait until you see the backside of the machine. That really tells the story of why this machine is here. This tells the story of why Cathy Green from Miles City, Montana, was literally sobbing while I was talking to her initially, and she was seeing whether or not I could help her with this machine. All right, without any more drama, somebody type in the chat, Scott, turn the machine around. Turn the machine around. I'm waiting for the chat. Somebody type, turn it around, turn it around. Okay, Terry and Emma have voiced and said, turn it, man, turn it. I'll turn it this far to begin with to show you the rust thing I'm talking about. And it goes to confirm what our friend said about Montana being a green state in many parts. Rust from one end to the other on this 1915 this 1915 Model 66. Now here's the real story of why Cathy was so sad. That whole section, that whole corner that would go from here to here, when this machine hit the ground, it snapped it right off straight away. And if you look real close, you can see it almost looks like a sandy mixture when they cast these machines. As heavy as it is, as sturdy as it is, it's still fragile. And when you put a machine like this from a certain height up against a hard surface like cement, that's what's going to happen right there. And of course, a lot of the mechanics for this machine are going to be going up this pillar and then feeding into the main shaft off of the balance wheel and everything. Now, the amazing thing about vintage sewing machines versus some of the more contemporary machines is if you were to drop with this much force a contemporary machine with many of the parts inside being plastic, you can only imagine what would have happened. The miracle of the quality of engineering of this era, especially way back in the 1920s when these machines would have been rolling out. Wait, correction. I was thinking of Terry's machine from 1919. The early 1900s, 1915-ish, they would have just been built like tanks. And even after taking a hit like this, the balance wheel still turns. It's not jammed up. And we're still getting needle bar movement over here. Just amazing. Now, the concern, obviously, with it taking a hit on this end is that we might find some damage on the bottom of the machine, particularly right over in this region right here. It might have landed just at the right angle where the body of the machine took the brunt of the impact, because these are not even bent down here. They're still turning, they're still trying to turn. Talk about a quality difference. It's just mind-blowing. But obviously a lot of cleanup needs to be done in this machine. A combination of varnish and rust. Let's open up that little package to see what we see. Spare bobbin plate. Okay. Now this is interesting. Let me spin us away from the damage area right here, because Cathy's note says something about broken corner, spare bobbin cover plate. Look at her sad face. Isn't that cute? I mean, it's not cute like funny. It's cute like, I mean, she's wearing her emotions on her sleeve with the trauma that this poor machine has suffered. She probably feels personally responsible, even though it was an accident. So we're going to, through workshop magic and through encouragement from all of you, because you really are the wind beneath my wings when it comes to continuing to do what I do, when you send encouraging notes or you're involved in a live stream like this and you'll type something like, love your videos or something like that. It really kind of gives me the encouragement to deal with difficult cases like this. But we're going to turn this frowny smile or this frowny face into a big smile by the time this machine leaves the workshop. Oh, I know what I was going to show you. Let me spin it around. Those of you that are real smart students and fellow teachers, we're kind of looking in the raceway area here, which this is all going to have to be disassembled because it's just layered in rust and dirt and filth and everything else. But what do you notice about the bobbin that's in the machine? Is that the correct bobbin for this Class 66 machine? Yeah, G. Alexander is on it. G. Alexander is going, no, that's not the right bobbin, buddy. That's not the right bobbin. Yeah, Terry is spot on. Terry's going, dude, that's a Class 15 bobbin. That would work beautifully in a Singer 15-91. It would work well in some of the Japanese clone machines too, wouldn't it? Quite nicely. But that's not the right bobbin, and hopefully someone was not trying to operate it that way. Some people that are not as smart as all of you, because of us sharing knowledge in the classroom and all that, some people that think, okay, it goes in the hole and it kind of fits in there, doesn't it? That's got to be the right bobbin. But the right bobbin is actually, let me see if I can find one. There it is. And this is one of the original Class 66 bobbins right here. They have some that have multiple holes on them, and those are later versions. They're still original, they're still authentic, but this is one of the earliest ones that Singer ever came out with their Class 66s. And very likely, with this being a machine from the early 1900s, they would have been using bobbins like this in this machine, and this machine would have been set up as a treadle machine, obviously. Now look at how it's just below the rim of that bobbin case, where this one was close, but it was sticking up too high. Not to mention, you'd be hard pressed to wind a Class 15 bobbin on a Class 66 machine, because the little joining point on the bobbin winder is not going to match up with this properly. That's the problem you run into when some of these folks on eBay and that changing to another class machine, the 201. Some people will be trying to look for a potted motor and bobbin winding assembly. It's all one single unit on those potted machines, like the 1591 and the 201-2. And they'll order one off of eBay because that seller really doesn't know the difference between a 201-2 and a 1591. And they'll get that, and it mounts on beautifully. And the motor assembly, everything works beautifully on either of those machines. But when they go to wind a bobbin, all of a sudden they realize the bobbin winder is for the wrong machine. So be aware that if you have to replace the motor on a 201-2 or a 1591, get some real close shots of that bobbin winder and make sure it's going to allow you to wind a bobbin, because they're not fully compatible with each other, because one is a Class 15 and one is going to be operating with a bobbin like this. Yeah. So what do they say? Close is good enough for horseshoes and hand grenades, but not for bobbins. Not for bobbins. I'm reading some of the comments real quick. Yeah, and G. Alexander is sharing, and I assume that G. Alexander is referring to this very, very early Class 66 original bobbin here. If anyone ever gets into a pinch, a difficult situation where they are trying to find the right bobbin for a machine, I've got lots of reserve bobbins in the workshop, and I would be happy to try to be a resource. So let me know if you folks ever run into any issues finding the right bobbins, especially when you get into some of the more elusive machines like the ones that were made in the Czech Republic. That can be downright tricky. But at any rate, the machine is in a rough state, but you know what? We'll get her done, right? We'll get her done. Let me show you the faceplate as well. Combination of rust, varnishing, just like down here on the presser foot as well, the needle bar. It's going to need a lot of deep cleaning, a lot of restorative efforts, but it can be done, right? We got this. We got this. Now, as you're looking at this presser foot, most presser feet for Singers are going to be mounted on the side. That's where you're going to screw on that presser foot and attach it. This one is screwed into the back, like my buddy Bill O'Rourke's from Kissimmee, Florida. All right, Bill, sorry about that. From Kissimmee, Florida. What specific subclass of Model 66 has this unique feature of attaching the presser foot attachment from the rear instead of from the left side? Does anyone know? Kind of watching the chat to see if anyone knows. This is a very unique subclass feature of the Class 66 that, to my knowledge, only one of those subclasses within the 66 family uses this particular way of attaching a presser foot. Nobody's jumping on that one. Come on, you guys, be courageous. You got this. What subclass are we looking at? Yeah, I don't disagree with Dr. T that on some of the Singer machines, the plastic bobbins do okay. But the problem with plastic bobbins is they're plastic, and they can have a tendency to get warped and also chipped. And then as they're spinning in the raceway, they can snag, and they can snag the thread as well. That's the only problem with the plastic ones. But on some of these slant-o-matic machines, the plastic ones work quite nicely. They work quite nice. Now, Emma threw a guess out there with a question mark. I wonder if Emma is right. All right, I won't make you wait any longer. Emma is correct. This is a Singer 66-1, and you know it's a -1 immediately because the entire sleeve that allows the presser foot to be attached is different than any of the other Class 66 models. And there are a ton of Class 66 models. I was actually looking through my notes real quick to see if I could rattle some of them off for you. I just have so many notes. Let's see here. Otherwise, I can add it to the information in the description later. I still have my original notes from my interview with Alex from the UK. Okay, I finally found it. Finally found it. Thank you for your patience. So, this again is a 66-1 because it has this additional sleeve right here that's anchored to the presser foot bar, and then the attachment mounts to the rear of it. And it's a very different looking attachment. If I could get it undone here, it may be really, really frozen on there. There we go, finally. It should be enough to get it off. Isn't that a different look to it, isn't it? It's quite different. And this is obviously a type of zipper foot that's attached to the machine right now that presumably someone was using. But you can see that V look, almost a VU look, that kind of slides underneath that mounting screw right here. And then as you tighten it in, it presses this into that presser foot bar to keep it into place. But attachments for the 66-1, because they are so unique, they sometimes are difficult to track down if you happen to be the owner of one of these machines. So what are some of the other 66 models, since we're talking about the Class 66? Does anyone know some of the other models that Singer came out with? Type it in the chat if you do. And if you want to share your knowledge on what's interesting about that particular model, that would be cool. Super cool. Because this is not a classroom where I'm the only teacher. We are co-teachers. We learn from each other. So don't be shy. Share your knowledge. We all have knowledge, and it's great to pass it from one person to another. And it makes us better, doesn't it? Yeah. Joelle, in relation to your question, I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know if it would, because this is one of the earliest versions of the Class 66. And because of the way the presser foot attachments have to be attached to the machine, I don't know that we would find one of those. But if you want to, as a fellow teacher, do some research out there in California, and the next time we do a live stream, circle back to that topic and let us know what you found out. That would be fabulous. Because I know a lot after doing this for a couple decades, but I still don't have all the answers either. So maybe Joelle bringing that question forward can help us out. That would be great. So the model that followed the 66-1 was the 66-3. And the 66-3 was nearly identical to the -1, but instead of being set up as a treadle exclusive machine, something I didn't mention, when the 66-1 was brought on the scene, it was only intended to be a treadle machine. There was no vision of it being converted to electric. There was no vision of it becoming a hand crank. But that changed with the 66-3, where all of a sudden they added a hand crank to nearly the identical model. And then after that, we got the 66-4 that went from the rear clamping type style that was used on the -1 and the -3 to a side clamping style. And they also added a motor to the machine as well on the -4. What else can I tell you about the -4? Yeah, it pretty much most of the same features. What followed the -4? Does anybody know? Ooh, Doris. Doris has a 66-16. A 66-16. So one thing that will stand out on Doris's machine straight away is her machine would not have been set up with a spoked wheel. Doris's -16 will have a solid balance wheel. And this is, a lot of people just love the spoked wheels, but Doris's won't have that. Hers will be different. Let me spin this back around again. Some of you are joining the live stream a little bit later, and I'll show you the trauma that this machine suffered in a serious fall that literally caused Cathy Green to be in tears when she reached out to me at the workshop. All of this was snapped off. We have a number of questions and comments that are popping up. One of the questions was, is the 99 or 99K a smaller version of the 66? The answer is not necessarily, but it definitely is smaller because it's only a 3/4 size machine. The 99 and 99K is going to be a 3/4 size, where the Class 66 is going to be a full size machine. See what I'm talking about? Sharing knowledge. Look at what Joelle wrote, and she obviously deals maybe with period costuming or has a familiarity with that. She's saying it's interesting. There's a zipper foot on there because that really wasn't a big thing. I wonder when they developed the first zipper. Does anyone know? In its rawest form? If somebody wants to look it up and share it with us, that would be awesome. That would be super cool. A 66-16. So back to the 66 series machines, and I'll kind of widen this shot a little bit so you can see more of Cathy's machine. So I think I ended on the Dash 4, right? After the Dash 4 came the Dash 5, and the Dash 5 was nearly identical to the Dash 4, but they added a hand crank, just like they did when they went from the Dash 1 to the Dash 3. Right after that, we had the Dash 6, which went back to a solid balance wheel again, much like Doris's Dash 16. Then we had the Dash 8, which was a Series 4 motor. It had a rim bobbin winder. And I can't show you because the machine is facing the wrong way, but it's basically be running over that rim in conjunction with the belt. And that also, the Dash 8 also had a solid balance wheel instead of a spoke balance wheel. Then we had the Dash 14, which was a treadle style machine similar to the original Dash 1, but it had a lever stitch length adjuster instead of that little round knob that a lot of the earliest ones had, like Cathy Green's. Then we had the Dash 15, which was identical to the Dash 14, but they went again from being a treadle machine back to a hand crank again. Singer did that bouncing around all the time between treadle, hand crank, motorized hand crank, and they would just bounce back and forth, back and forth. Then we have the Dash 16, which was identical to the Dash 14, but they added a back-mounted motor to it, and again, a solid balance wheel, not a spoked one. Then we get to Doris's machine, finally, the Dash 18, which was identical to the 66-14, but there was a different style motor on the machine. And last but not least, the final model that came out in the Class 66 series was the Dash 24. And that was identical to the Dash 14, but it had a solid balance wheel with a back-mounted motor. A lot of these are going to be really, really similar with just subtle differences. Maybe the stitch length control is different. Maybe the style of winding a bobbin, that assembly is going to be a little bit different. But all in all, they're going to be really, really close when you are working within that Class 66 series. And I didn't mention the UK equivalents of the Class 66. They obviously had UK equivalents coming onto the market as well, like the 66K. So the 66K would have been very early on and would have been almost the mirror image of that original 66-1 that had that same rear-mounted type clamp design to attach presser feet to the machine. Very, very similar. Yeah. All right, let me look at the chat because I've been blah, blah, blahing and blah, blah, blahing, and I haven't looked at the chat. So. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, Terry and Joelle both came up with some great information because it's knowledge, it's knowledge, right? It's knowledge, it's power, it's knowledge. They came up with the original zippers, which I can only assume would have been metal back in the 1800s. Right around, well, isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Look at the date that these two brilliant ladies typed into the chat. Terry and Joelle typed in 1851. What is significant about the year 1851? What's significant about the year 1851? Hint, 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 hint. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I agree with G. Alexander. I love the lotus patterns. The lotus patterns, the Tiffany patterns on the Singer machines, and certainly this classic red eye design as well is really a head turner, isn't it? But Terry is bang on. Terry is spot on when she says, Scott and everybody, hello, that was the beginning of Singer, 1851, right? Yeah, that's why they're 1951. So the centennial year for Singer was 1951. I presented a number of machines on this channel that have that centennial badge. In fact, I showed you recently when I presented that PFAFF that took that horrible fall from Indiana. I showed you one of my next projects on the other workbench is that Centennial 201-2 that is being prepared for my dear friend Elaine from the great state of Mississippi. And that was such a big year for Singer, 1951, celebrating 100 years from their inception in 1851. So what a weird coincidence that they came out with the first practical zipper in the same year that Singer was founded. How cool is that? What a weird coincidence. Of course, I don't believe in coincidences. It's just a matter of timing, wasn't it? Just a matter of timing. Oh, I got all distracted talking about the different class 60s, the subclass 60s, 66s, and we never finished opening this. And I better watch my time. My customer bringing a 201-2 to the workshop. Oopa. Got to stop for a little dance, you know? You can't hear this music. This is dancing music. There's a lot of types of dancing music, but this is dancing music. Yeah, it is. Oh yeah. Extra little plate to cover the bobbin cover, little bobbin cover plate. Look at how thick that is. You can see the casting on the edges. You can finally see how thick that is and imagine what kind of impact the severity of that impact to crack a casting that thick. Give you an idea. Using a caliper at one of the widest points, I'm talking about 12 millimeters of thickness. And I might not even be at the thickest point, but I think I am. Maybe it's a little thicker here. Let's check it over here. Yeah, a little bit thicker. Right around approximately 13 millimeters. So this had to be a horrific crash and fall. I'm just wondering how well it's going to line up. Actually, that's not bad. That's better than I would have expected. Now, some of you watching this right now might say, so what do? Do you use like a two-stage epoxy? Do you just slather, clean this up a little bit and slather on some two-stage epoxy and then clamp it on in place? That would be the approach that some people would take. But when I do this repair, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use almost like a dental drill, and I'm going to port some holes in the different key spots along the casting here, and then I'm going to add the equivalent of metal rebarb that will allow me to then connect these two sections with that extra reinforcement so that has extra strength in it. That's what I did with our friend from Texas with his FAFF 130-6. And they even have one-stage epoxies now too, where you don't need to mix them. And they're supposed to be, pretty much as strong as the two stages, although I'm a little skeptical of that. But all in all, the blessing in this disaster is we've got the piece that was snapped off, and it's a relatively clean break when it struck this side and broke that off. It's a relatively clean break. You've got to prepare a surface like this very carefully so that whatever type of adhesive you use, whether it's a two-stage epoxy, a one-stage epoxy, or something equivalent to that, that it's going to really, really hold that piece in place, even though this is not typically a weight-bearing area of the machine, because this is a treadle machine. It's going to be mounted in a table or in a base, preferably in a table. But if you try to do a repair like this, don't take the easy route and just slap some glue on it and stick it in. Make sure you really do some extra reinforcement. Drill those holes very carefully, a real tiny drill bit so you don't crack this casting. And then add that rebarb, drill your holes that are matching over here, and then bring those two together with that adhesive that you're going to use, and then clamp it into place. And then what I'll do is I'll probably actually strip this down to bare metal before I actually do the repair, and then paint over this once it's been put back into place. And if I build some layers up of the paint on here and kind of rough this in with some, probably about 1,000 to 2,000 grit sandpaper, we'll be able to make that nice and even so that it's not a focal point. It should blend in real nicely along with the paint that we add, and then ultimately the clear coat as well. It'll be a real nice finished product. Yeah. So even sad stories. Remember Cathy's note that she had with this sad face, right? We're going to turn that frown upside down, as the saying goes. We got this. Step by step, we'll get it done. We'll get it done. Yeah. Ha ha! All right, let me look at the chat, and then we'll wrap up this live stream, because Sue is going to be arriving with her 201-2 shortly. Yes, those are pores in the material, Joel. If you look at that original Singer video that I have on the landing page of the Cow Country YouTube channel, you'll see how they poured that molten metal into the forms and form these different components of the machine. And there's always going to be tiny little pores or little air pockets almost that are part of that casting process that you can't get rid of on the inside, because it's just part of the way that metal that when that metal cools after being molten, there's little pockets, tiny little pockets in there, which obviously makes it a little bit weaker than it would be if you could cast metal and eliminate these pores that are part of that. Because this does add a little bit of a weakness to the strength of that metal. Oh, yeah. I think you're right, Terry. I think you're right. That could be the case because that class 15 was higher profile, and the clearance between that plate and the top of that bobbin case area is, I mean, it's very, very tight. Very tight, isn't it? All right. Well, everybody, enjoy your Monday. Enjoy your Monday. Thanks for joining this live stream. And when this gets to the workbench, which won't be right away, this will be quite a challenging and a fun project, won't it? That'll be a project all by itself right there. Oh, The World Without Rust. If anyone wants to write a book, I will buy it if you title it A World Without Rust. A World Without Rust. Yeah, do that. Of course, then it would put a bunch of body shops out of business, and I wouldn't want to do that either. You can see this. Oh, wow, the kickback spring is still working on this. It's amazing. And you can see this is a rim-style bobbin winder here, too. That's what it means when it's talking about that tire. Where does that tire ride? It rides right on the rim of the balance wheel, doesn't it? And that kickback spring is still good to go. If you've ever had a vintage machine and you push this down and when you release it, it doesn't pop back up. It's kind of jiggly. It kind of goes up and it drops, it goes up. That's just a product of the kickback spring. And you can buy those aftermarket now and replace that kickback spring. That's part of this assembly. And then when you push it down and you release it, it'll pop back up just like Cathy Green's is. Yeah. All right. Oh, I didn't notice this. Look at this spool pin. You can tell that took part of the brunt too, didn't it? Part of the impact. Kind of creates a new way. It's the leaning tower of thread. Oh, yeah. Lean your head to the left and it looks straight. Lean your head to the left. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Oh, well, it happens, right? All right. Well, have a great week, you guys. And I'm trying to think the next live stream that I'm probably going to do is, and I'll actually grab it real quick. I think I can grab it real quick and put it next to this 66. Let me move Cathy's right back here. Put Cathy's right there. The next live stream that I'm going to be doing, if you guys want to keep an eye open for it, is today I'm anticipating Sue bringing a machine, but on Friday of this week, on Friday, I actually have another Cathy. I have Cathy Pecor that's going to be coming to the workshop to pick up. Let me grab it. Hold on one second. And I've been handling this machine a lot, so it's not absolutely pristine right now. But I'll get it tidied up before Cathy Pecor arrives on Friday. And Cathy was our grand prize winner. If you're brand new to this channel, blah, 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 every time we add another 1,000, subscribers to this channel, I do a major contest and giveaway. And when we did our last milestone celebration, when we hit 12,000 subscribers, I did a calico contest. Basically said to folks, there were different cities named Calico historically. There was one in California, there was one in West Virginia, there was one in South Carolina, North Carolina, and there was one in, I think it was Wyoming. It's been a while since the contest now, so I'm trying to remember. I believe it was Wyoming. There was also West Virginia. I apologize. It was West Virginia that also had a city by the name of Calico. And then the writer could write a creative story talking about that town. At any rate, you can go back and watch those videos. I don't need to rehash it right now. But the point is this: every time we hit a new milestone, we're going to do something similar to this. And with this one, we were talking about, and Terry, one of our new friends that's part of the family now, was saying 1851. That was the big year for Singer when they came on the scene. And then they celebrated 100 years in 1951, right? Well, Singer also wanted to do something last year in 2021, right amid the pandemic wrapping up. And so what they decided to do is that was their 170th anniversary from 1851 to 2021. And so they came out with this Class 15 machine that they set up with a hand crank. And I'll tell you, when you lift it, you can tell straight away that the body of the machine was built solid. It was built probably not to the standards of this Class 66-1, but it was built fairly well for kind of a remake of a model. And then they added some cool appointments to the machine that are very specific to this special. I almost said, what is 175? 175 has a special term. It's like subtumbula blah 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 or something like that. But anyway, when they were wanting to celebrate their 170th anniversary, they decided to do a couple of unique things to this Class 15. So on the faceplate, if you look real close, you'll see that they actually embossed into the chrome the word Singer right here. That's one of the neat appointments on this limited edition 170th commemorative type Class 15 machine that they came out with in 2021 to celebrate 170 years. So that's one of the neat features that really stands out on this model that they created. Along with that, and again, the machine's a little bit dirty right now, so ignore fingerprints. They also came up with a decal pattern that added a unique touch. So right in the middle of the bed, you can see as well, it's 170th anniversary. And then on the badge mark as well, the badge mark also points to that 170th anniversary as well. But the whole point of showing you this machine real quick is this was the grand prize for the contest giveaway that I just did for us hitting 12,000 subscribers. You know, it's like our friends in Texas say, do it big or go home. Do it big or go home. So we always do it big at Cow Country. So Cathy Pecor is going to pick up this machine on Friday. And I'm still debating if I want to do a live stream with her here, which would be really cool. And then I can have her read her story live during the live stream. And then we can do some sew-offs on this Class 15 as well. So I think that's probably the way we'd do it. So you'll have a chance to actually meet the new owner of this beautiful machine. You'll be able to hear her read the story that got her this prize in our contest. And then we'll be able to watch this replica Class 15 stitch off some various sew-offs that we're going to put it through the paces on. Probably do some leather, do some cotton, you know, the basic sew Olympics to get this machine out the door. And I'm not going to cut it any slack, even though it's a replica and it was made 170 years after the inception of Singer Sewing Machine Company. We're still going to put it to the test, and it's got to pass those tests to leave the workshop. So, Cathy traveling all the way here to pick this machine up is hoping that it'll do well on the test. And it will, because I'm going to make sure it's ready to do that. But keep your eye open. We're about a quarter of the way to the next major milestone of 13,000 subscribers. And then I'm going to do another contest giveaway where you'll be able to win another sewing machine. It won't be this sewing machine because that's Cathy's, but it'll be another very, very desirable machine. I might do, I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. If you have any suggestions, let me know. But it's great to see that Singer is still, to some extent, even though they're very different than they were when Isaac Singer was at their helm, they're still trying to keep people interested and intrigued by their roots, which points back to the vintage side of things and also the antique side of things if you go way back. But any rate, I'll get this out of the way and we'll focus on this one and we'll wrap this live stream up. After I throw the camera, that was scary. Are you still there? Yes, I think you are. That's the only problem with shorter cords. It's like charging a cell phone. The chargers they give you for the car, the cords are like 30 feet long. The cords they give you to plug in at your house or in a fixed position are usually about 20 inches long. What's up with that? Same thing with these cameras. All right, let's get Cathy's machine out of the way. And cool. All right. All right, I got to get ready for our other Cathy and get ready for Sue as well. So you all have a great week. And I'm going to sign off now pretty quick. I'll just let this song finish up as you guys do a little bit more chatting amongst yourselves. Oh, hey, I didn't even see that Cathy is in the live chat. Very cool. So yeah, Cathy is planning her trip up this way, and we're going to meet on Friday. So and it would be, yeah, I think we'll do the live stream while Cathy is here, and we'll actually put the machine through the paces, have her read the story. And I've already got the story here printed out real big so she can read it very comfortably. Yeah. But for right now, enjoy the music and keep me in your thoughts as I plan this project to help out our friend from Miles City, Montana. I love getting new states, and I think this is our first Montana machine. That's fun. That's fun. And if Cathy Pecor is still watching this live before I end the live stream, I've got this waiting for you as well. Compliments of Vanessa and Emily Oyama from Texas. I sent these out to all the people that responded after I ended that contest that submitted essays, and then also had enough to send to the judges as well. So everybody's enjoying this incredible coffee that I believe was donated by Vanessa's sister who has a coffee shop. So Cathy Pecor, I got this for you here as well. So hopefully you're a coffee drinker. Yeah. Oh, if you could smell this through the camera. If you could smell this through the camera. Ah! It's amazing. Oh, you can do it, Cathy. You can do it. I promise you can. You can definitely do it. This is really a long jazz song. I'm going to end the live stream as soon as it's done, but it's not going to be done for a while. All right, here comes the end of the song. Remember, the live chat stays active for a period of time after I end the live stream. So if you're in the middle of chatting with somebody, getting acquainted with somebody new, or you're saying to Cathy Pecor, doggone it, are you sure you really need that Class 15 170th anniversary machine? Sure you wouldn't want to donate it to me? Listen very carefully for Cathy's laughter. Oh no, she's got that machine. It's hers, baby. It's hers. All right. Well, you'll have a great week, everybody. Watch for that live stream with Cathy Pecor in the workshop as she picks up her grand prize for writing the story about Calico. And that's it. I'm signing off as soon as this song ends. Take care, everybody. God bless.